Well, a very good afternoon to you all from Grantsville, Utah, the Burt Brothers Motorpark, World Racing League's first trip west of the Rocky Mountains, west of the Continental Divide, and we are live all weekend on the DriversEye Live. My name is Brendan Kazmarek, and I, solo, along with Gordon Worth on the buttons, remotely will be taking you through our two standalone qualifying sessions. Remember, new this year for 2025, even though we are approaching the end of the season here. We've been transitioned into standalone qualifying sessions, and boy, have they delivered. First, it's GTO and GTU, our Grand Touring classes. GT4 type cars in the GTO category, along with some others. GTU are lightweight prototype style cars, sports racer type cars, all closed cockpit here. And we get 30 minutes on the clock to qualify and set the grid for this weekend's Crossroads Endurance Challenge. Appreciate you all being with us. You see in the upper left-hand corner of the screen there, already gone through about 3.5 minutes. Most of the cars begun their first flying laps, anticipating 19 to 20 cars out for this session. That'll make up half the grid. The other half coming in GP1 and GP2, those being your general production classes a little bit later on. As we get the first of the two cars to round the final sequence of corners here, looking for the Rapscallion number, got to get the new numbers right, second Rapscallion entry this weekend. That'll be the 678, and let's the Stratus Racing number 60, it's your GTU points leader, up the inside. GTU cars should be quicker this weekend, and as they set their first qualifying times, that's exactly what happens here. Stratus number 60 straight to the top, 2 minutes, 0.789 around the outer loop configuration here at Burt Brothers Motorpark. Automatic Racing 908 jumps right up into second, Stratus 59, then 58, then Automatic 909 rounds out your top five as cars complete their first flying lap. Waiting on some representative GTO times. First, it'll be the number 13 of Singler Racing. It's a local entry to us here in the World Racing League out west. They were with us back at High Plains Raceway, of course. Round 3 racing straight to the top. 2 minutes 3.261 in the 991.2 Cup Porsche entry. AE Victory slides through. Round 3 racing number 1. First of the two GTU entries. And then the number 10. Interesting to see some of these lap times here early on. The 2 minutes definitely suggests something of a bigger lap there. We saw laps a little bit earlier on this afternoon in the high 159s out of the GTU cars. GTO cars could be down around 2 minutes, but I will say, if you're not with us trackside here at Burt Brothers Motorpark, it has warmed up pretty substantially from when we first got here this morning. Not just the ambient temperature, but the sun has broken through what was a pretty solid overcast layer this morning. And yeah, you could definitely feel the temperature trackside and down here in the paddock as well. Down through the attitudes come the Automatic Racing 909. There goes the 908. That's the all-yellow colored car. And with the number 144 BMW M4 GT4, head up towards turn number 11, Tuella turn as it's called. Make the left-hander there and down this little short chute of a back straightaway here. Headed back to the north, pointed right at the shores of the Great Salt Lake before you enter this final sector. 90-degree left-hander and then an increasing amount of banking through the right-hander, and then the final left-hander, turn 15, release as it's known, and on to the front straightaway again. Stratus number 60 does not improve last time through. 2 minutes, 0.789, still the provisional pole time. The number 58 jumps up into second and demotes the automatic pair to third and fourth in GTU. 908, then 909. Round 3 racing number 70 still has the provisional pole time down there in GTO, 203.261. Off-leash Motorsports, just as I say that, puts the number 40 Mercedes AMG GT4 up to the top. If round 3 flashes through again, do they reset their fast lap time? No, they don't. So something of a cool-off lap. There goes the Mercedes off into turn number 1 behind another Porsche Cup car, by the way. That is the number 221 CTSR 997 Cup. We love a 997 Cup here at DriversEye Live. Not as much as we love a 996 Cup, but Ryan West and I will wax poetic about the 997s. And if we can wrangle Brad McCall up to the booth at some point tomorrow, I'm sure We'll get him to have some 997 chat in there as well. Mercedes heads out of turn number 4 and into the braking zone at turn number 5. Mercedes should be a bit quicker than that 997 Cup car, being a car that is some 14, 15 years newer in its design. Going back to the left-hand side of the road into turn number 6. Double apex right-hander. Boy, this track has Alan Wilson ridden all over it. We've been to Noller Motorsports Park, Barber Motorsports Park. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The constant radius corners, the odd double apex here or there, the tall curbs, and the man-made elevation change here at what is formerly known as Miller Motorsports Park, formerly known as the Utah Motorsports Campus, settling nicely to the Burt Brothers Motorpark identity. Down through the attitudes once again and headed towards the final sector of the racetrack. Off-leash still holding that pole position time, 2:03.0. And one thing it may be worth just noting here, that Mercedes with the twin-turbo V8 engine in the front, up against the round 3 racing number 70. Remember, that'll be a normally aspirated flat 6 in the back of that Porsche. And we are at some amount of elevation here. If I just take a quick peek at the elevation in Tooele, Utah, 5,043 feet. So, I mean, that forced induction does help to, we all do normalize, obviously, for the conditions and 9-to-1 power to weight, but the turbo engine does give you a little bit more fine-tuning than you might otherwise get out of a normally aspirated engine. Round 3 car, just not quite on the pace there. Off-leash Motorsports into the pit lane, with round 3 flashing through a 2:03.549, so about 0.3 off of their previous best. TCB Racing in the number 246, back in the World Racing League. Again, the turbo Toyota Supra up to P3. CHR in the number 191, and a gorgeous BMW M4 GT4 there in P4 provisionally, and the number 13 from Singler Racing rounding out the top 5. Rapscallion cars, 2 this weekend, as we mentioned earlier. The 678 is the yellow and blue colored car. The 669, the car we're much more used to seeing, or much more familiar to us here in the World Racing League. That's the black, white, and red car. That car much further down the order, down in 11th position in the GTO class at the moment. Some 7 seconds off of the pace being set by the Mercedes of off-leash Motorsports. Stratus number 60, Stratus 50, your top 2 in GTU. Automatic 909, Automatic 908 next in line in GTU. Stratus 59 comes through and does improve to a 2:02.136, but does not improve position, so just a lap time gain there. Same thing for the Automatic 909, 2:01.271 across the start-finish line, and gets within, oh boy, 16 thousandths of a second of the Stratus number 58. None of those numbers were right, by the way. It's 17 thousandths of a second up to the Stratus number 58. 2:01.271 against 2:01.254 is the best lap. Stratus 60 has improved the pole time down into the 159s for the first time. 1:59.975. As we mentioned, World Racing League's first trip to the Burt Brothers Motorpark was, when we put it on the dirt, it was still the Utah Motorsports Campus. That name change came very late this spring. And working to wrap my head around all of that. But one of the things I think it'll be interesting to see is whether or not any of the teams that are based out in this part of the country, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and we will see quite a few of those in the production classes, whether there's some advantage there. A little bit of local knowledge, a little bit of better handling of the high altitude here in Utah. A little bit more track knowledge. It's a track that's been around for about 20 years, 19 years, I think, in total. And if you don't have much reason to come out this way, I suspect there are a fair few drivers who are tackling this 3-mile outer loop layout for the first time. And I will say, from watching trackside earlier, setting up cameras, there is some real finesse to this place. And it's not just in these long corners that lead onto the long front straightaway like here at turn 15, but some of these double apex hairpins really encourage you to hustle the car on the way into the braking zone, really charge at the braking zone, try and keep up your speed, your velocity as long as you can before you jump onto the brakes. And it really leaves cars scraggling for grip as they go down through the gears and in towards the apex, particularly up at turn 5 and at turn 6. Really, really wild to watch cars turn in with usually a little bit too much speed. And ask the front and the rear tires to do all of the right things to the best that they can. Tracking now the number 40, off-leash motorsport Mercedes. Still on the provisional pole there in GTO. Forza Motorsport now in the number 144 jumps up into P2 with a 203.107. So less than a tenth of a second separating your top two in GTO. And then it's about a tenth and a half further back to the number 70 round 3 racing Porsche. The way this qualifying session and these 30-minute qualifying sessions in general have been handled through 2025 is that usually what we'll see is something of a pure lap on the first set of runs right out the gate. Sometimes that'll be on a set of used tires. Sometimes it maybe is on a set of quickly scrubbed tires. A lot of times we'll see once that driver is up to speed or has given it a go, some of the higher level teams will come in, swap tires out, put on a set of stickers, and let another driver have a crack at it. You look at the number 70 round 3 racing Porsche, for example, having Cole Ofsgaard and NASCAR driver Josh Bilicki at your disposal kind of makes for an awesome 1-2 punch in trying to set the pole time. At the moment, yeah, just not quite there. But into the pit lane and we'll change tires and reset and go do it all again. Into the pits comes the number 87 of Slick Racing, sporting a new red and black livery. Caught up with Jason Marks back at the Paul Revere 14-hour Daytona. Jason providing some insight to TCB Racing in the 246, Stoic Racing in the 87, now being run out of the same shop. And some management of the cars and race prep going on there. Great to have both of those teams back with us here now that we've headed west. Number 246 getting the better of the Stoic Racing team just at the moment. TCB up into the top 5, Stoic, then number 87 back in P9. So we reset and just take a glimpse at the scenery surrounding the Burt Brothers Motorpark here. Quick rundown in GTO, and then we'll get to GTU. Off-leash Forza round 3 is your top 3. It's 41, 44, and 70. AE Victory Racing in the number 19, our featured car on this weekend's race poster. If you haven't seen the poster that was done up by 1010's Creative for this weekend, by the way, absolutely go check that out on the World Racing League Instagram. Tremendous art, and it does feature that number 119 of AE Victory Racing. Absolutely stunning work by one of my favorite artists. TCB Racing, number 246, rounds out the top 5. Then it's a 191 from CHR into P6. It's a current-gen BMW M4. Singler Racing, the number 13, and a previous-gen BMW M4. Rapscallion 678, Stoic 87, the CTSR number 221, that's that 997 Cup we were talking about earlier, and then Bruce Innovations in the number 111 Mustang back in P11 with the 669 from Rapscallion in P12. GTU, as we said, Stratus 60, then Automatic 908 has put in a blinder of a lap, 2 minutes, .874 to go P2, Stratus 58 goes P3, Automatic 909 goes P4. So it's Stratus Automatic, Stratus in P5. And then round 3, number 1, Heraflight in the number 247. Looking very 2006 Mike Shanky, it has to be said, this weekend. And then the field rounded out in GTU by the number 10 of round 3 racing. Stratus 60 comes through again, improves the lap time, but not the position. I'm sorry. Does not do either of those things. 2 minutes, .003, so it does not improve the lap time. Just about a quarter of a tenth or so away from their previous pole setting time. Remember, it took about 2 laps for that car to get up to speed earlier. Let's see if it's the same thing this time around. That'll be the first flying lap on this set of tires for that Stratus number 60. And that is your Midwest points leader headed into this weekend's finale pair of races. I'll head off down towards turn number 5. halfway, just beyond halfway through the session now. Coming down to that 30-minute mark. On the brakes into turn number 6. Difficult entry to this corner. Again, you're asking the car to do a lot, but the road is exceptionally flat. It does transition into some banking, so it kind of goads you into taking speed on the way in. But that entry, the actual entry is so flat that you can really get kind of sucked into taking more speed than the car is capable of handling through there. GTU cars getting no benefit from the downforce at around 60 miles an hour there as well. Then they get to turn number 7 here, where they do use all of that downforce. 4th gear sweeper at something near maximum G load on this track. It probably is maximum G load, as a matter of fact. And yeah, really quick corner. Really fun to watch cars through there, especially from our camera position on the outside. Rain shower developing on the near side of the mountains just to our west here. Does this have a role to play before we wrap up qualifying? Not necessarily this session, but I would not be shocked if we saw something here before we got to GP1 and GP2 qualifying. Remember back at Road America in April, it's exactly what we saw. Threatening showers, threatening skies in the GT sessions, and then the heavens absolutely opened up when we got to the production cars qualifying session. New personal best from TCB in the number 246, 2 minutes 5.492. So again, a position improvement, but I'm sorry, again, a lap time improvement, but not a position improvement. Gotta call Kalsa in the chat. Got my eyes on the number 60 GTU. Rumor has it piloted by Million and Bank. So I'm going to assume Million is Matt Million. Bank I'm less familiar with. Hello, Sadakal, by the way. 100% participation rate in DriversEye live streams this year, I think. Air show weekend at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. All right. I would go for an air show. I have the opportunity to go to Fleet Week in San Francisco here in a couple of weeks. Tremendous. I could not be more excited. Never been to Fleet Week, being an East Coaster. Been to my fair share of air shows. But, yeah, really looking forward to that. Down into the Tuella turn number 11. Bucks County Motorsports fan. If that's Bucks County, Pennsylvania, hello, sir. Or madam. Northampton County speaking here. Just up the road from you. Circuit does have some awesome views. I think it's easy to write off the track for being flat and again, an Alan Wilson design. It actually is a very technical track. I mean, really properly technical. And it does allow you some opportunities to stretch your legs. There's some quick corners. The curbs add their own element of technicality as well that really encourage you to kind of hustle the car in a different way than you otherwise might. And absolutely, I mean, the backdrop is as dramatic as you will see in certainly United States-based motorsports. I'm sure some places over in British Columbia could give this place a run for its money. But man, if coming from an East Coaster, the East Coast mind literally cannot comprehend. It is really, really something here. And we'll get some sunrise action on Sunday with the race starting at 8 a.m. And we'll get some late afternoon action at 5 p.m. on Saturday when we take our first checkered flag of the weekend. Yeah, really, really looking forward to this weekend's pair of races. 40 cars on the entry list. If you haven't taken a look there. And as the WRL, as the World Racing League, continues to evolve and develop and evaluates its calendar based on successful races and encouraging people to come out and try certain new venues or try a new place geographically. It's hard to imagine this one not coming back to the calendar in 2026. I mean, it really has delivered. I haven't had the chance to check out Salt Lake City just yet, but I hear that can be a pretty good time as well. Delicious Afghani food for dinner last night over in Salt Lake. Suppose it's Afghan food, not Afghan. Anyway, 7 minutes, 45 seconds left on the clock. I've gotten no feedback from producer Jordan throughout this session here, so either my connection's dropped or Jordan just has nothing to say. Hey, Jordan's just enjoying the view. Exactly. Yep, exactly. We were in Daytona last weekend, Daytona Beach, where the highest elevation in Volusia County, I think, is the 31-degree banking. It's really remarkable just how different it is. And I got to be honest with you, I spent most of this morning setting up cameras just really with a pretty grim attitude towards how I thought it was going to look and how far away so much of the runoff and the walls are here based on camera placement. But I think we've done something pretty solid here at DriversEye Live for this weekend's Crossroads Endurance Challenge. Most of the cars into the pit lane, at least up in GTO. Rapscallion number 678 still lapping at 2 minutes 5.050, so it does improve again, and actually is able to drop TCB's number 246 Supra out of the top 5. So that is a position improvement for that Ligier JS2R. Now the sole representative for Ligier in the field. Remember that off-leash Motorsports number 40 was the first to bring that car, I think, possibly to the United States, but certainly into the World Racing League. And after putting a lot, and I mean a lot of time and effort into getting that car reliable and up to the performance level of pace-setting cars in GTO, eventually decided for a new challenge. And so they've gone over to the Mercedes, but Rapscallion handling things out of their shop in, I think, Cypress, Texas. Which is either MSR Crescent or Eagles Canyon. I think that's MSR Crescent. Is Cypress. Great to have that pair of cars entered for this weekend. Those cameras just give us a little bit of fits there from trackside. And now Rapscallion 678 into the pit lane. So just about everybody's done what they're going to do, at least up in GTO. GTU is still Stratus 60 automatic 908, Stratus 58 automatic 909. And then Heraflight in the number 247 up into the top 5 displaces that Stratus number 59. Drops them to P6, and then the round 3 pair, numbers 1 and 10, in P7 and P8. Very unround 3 light. Catch up with Brad McCall a little bit later at going on down through it there at round 3 racing. It's hard to imagine it's setup-based or tune-based. I know a lot of those Sebeco NPO1 entrants do share. We get a car off, way off on the outside of turn number 4. Fortunately here, there's a ton of runoff. I think that it's definitely a GTU car. And recovers well. What's the number here? I think that's one of the Stratus cars. Here at the next car. Oh, it's the number 10. It's number 1. The round 3 car. It's way off. Now, one of the things you got, yeah, number 10 is just into the pit lane here, so it is number 1. Of course, the blue accents. There is plenty of runoff here, which is good. You can get away with actually quite a bit if you do tend to go, or if you do drop a couple of wheels. The problem is it's also very, very rough. Like, really rough out beyond the bounds of the track limits. And you've got to be careful of your splitter, be careful of the under tray in some of these cars. You can, if you go off at some rate of speed, you can certainly scuff up the underside there, or take off a corner, damage a splitter, that thing. Seems like no harm, no foul, but I'm sure Brad and the lads, is that the move? Brad and the lads? Brad and the boys and girls down there at round 3 will give the car proper once over here and make sure everything's right with that car before we go racing tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock Mountain Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. And yeah, that number 1 car right into the pit lane. Automatic 908 is going to give this another go. Does not improve, 205.392. Remember here, this is as much an extended practice session, if you want it to be, as it is a qualifying session. Used to be that you would go do your qualifying times first thing in the morning or late in the afternoon if it was sort of a summertime where the temperature begins to drop. Yeah, summertime is the temperature begins to drop in the afternoon. Here, you're locked into putting your times in early on, obviously, or inside of a single 30-minute window between 1 and 1:30. But it takes the place of what was previously a practice session. So it's not necessarily added track time. And if you're at a premium for track time and practice and getting yourself comfortable in a race car, then, yeah, maybe you send your shoe out to go do the quick lap early on a set of stickers, come back in, and you use the rest of this 30 minutes as a practice session. The other things I hope to find out before we go racing tomorrow, and we'll be at the drivers' meeting a little bit later, is what the track surface is like. This track was built in 2005. Surface was laid in the beginning of 2006 from memory, and then debuted in the American Le Mans Series in July of 06. I don't know that any part of the track has been repaved. A couple of patches and grindings as you look around the circuit, but generally I think we're probably at a fairly abrasive point in this track's lifespan, nearly 20 years on from its original design. No layout changes or anything like that. So between that, the long corners here, a lot of third gear mid-speed corners, which obviously explains why the GTU cars are so quick as well. Speaking of quick GTU cars, holy cow, P2 for Heraflight, the number 247, 2 minutes, .566, still 0.6 off of that Stratus number 60, but it breaks the Stratus and automatic stranglehold at the top and drops that orange and black number 247 right into the mix at the front of GTU. Remember, they were really, really quick back at, I think it was Road Atlanta in July, before they had an early on engine failure in that car. And it took them out of what was a really, really promising day for that number 247 crew. Trying to do something of the same here at the Burt Brothers Motorpark. Get that qualifying time in, start up on the front row. Those GTU cars should start ahead of GTO, given they're on average about 3 seconds a lap quicker, and really make a good attempt at kind of getting in amongst the multi-car teams at the front of GTU. It's a really, really good time from that number 247. They're going to do it again here, coming through turns 14 and 15. Wind up and then release onto the front straightaway. There it is, orange and black. Checkered flag waves. They'll be the first to see the checkered as time expires. Do they improve? No, 2 minutes, .815. But I don't know that the automatic racing number 908 is set up for another quick time here. Now that time has expired. This will be the last opportunity. As I look to my left from the broadcast booth along the front straightaway. Second of the Rapscallion cars coming through, the number 678. He's 6 at the moment. Can it improve from a 205.0 up through the gears? No, 205.701. So it doesn't improve, but really good consistency out of that Ligier JS2R. Automatic 908 will bail and head for the pit lane. This will be Stratus number 58. Does not bail. It's the black and blue. NPO1 onto the front straightaway. Do they improve out of P4? No. But only just missing out on improvement. 201.296 for its final flying lap, compared to its best time of 201.119. So within a couple of tenths. And I think that is going to just about do it. They look out through the last sector of the lap. Aeroflight is the next car. Oh, no, it's not. There's one other car down there at turn 11, coming towards turn 13 now. EHR 191. It's a singler number 13. The F82 grill style on the front of that car. E8 at the moment, 205.749. And they do bail for the pit lane there. They've been showing in an alternate checkered flag up there at turn 11. I don't think that's being used for qualifying here this afternoon. Part of the reason we're down to 30 minutes in qualifying from the normal 35-minute practice lap time. And get this turned around, get everybody a full flying lap in at the end if they want it. Now all cars have seen checkered. So, this is the first half of qualifying for the Crossroads Endurance Challenge done. and indeed dusted, particularly if you're that number 1 round 3 racing NPO1. And off and on over there at turn number 4. Do a quick rundown here. GTU, which we expect to start at the front of tomorrow morning's grid. Stratus number 60 from Harrow Flight number 247 on the front row. And Automatic Racing 908 and the Stratus number 58 will make up the second row of the GTU field. Automatic Racing 909 and Stratus number 59 take you down to P6. By the way, those top 6 cars within 1.3 seconds. Impressive stuff, 1.2 seconds. Round 3 racing number 1, round 3 racing number 10 round out the field. That round 3 number 1, only a couple of tenths back from that Stratus number 59. So 3-4 tenths making all the difference there in terms of getting those round 3 cars in amongst the front of the GTU field. Obviously, 2 really long races this weekend, and we'll wait and see what kind of race pace round 3 cars have got. I'm sure they're not set up to be anything other than super comfortable to drive and super consistent right the way through tomorrow's 8 hours. Down GTO, excuse me, it'll be the second field rolling off tomorrow, we anticipate. Off-leash Motorsports takes pole from Mercedes. 203.059 is your pole lap time. Forza Motorsport, the number 144 BMW, on the outside of row number 1. Round 3 racing number 70. It's your points leader in GTO. There in P3 with AE Victory Racing, the number 119 on the outside of row number 2. Classic battle between the 70 and the 119 back at, I think it was back at Daytona, wasn't it? Where that 119 showed so well. Let's look for more of the same tomorrow. Number 191 of CHR, P5 with Rapscallion, number 678 in P6. It's row number 3. Row number 4 will be the TCB Racing, number 246, Singler Racing, number 13, Stoic Racing, 87, and CTSR rounding out the top 10. The number 111 of Bruce Innovations, it's Ford Mustang, P11 with the Rapscallion 669 in P12. That'll do it for the next 40 minutes or so here with DriversEye Live. I am Brendan Kazmarek, Jordan Worth on the production. We're going to step aside here until we're ready to go for part 2 of qualifying in just under an hour. So it'll be 2:30 p.m. Mountain Time here, 4:30 on the East Coast, and 1:30 Pacific Time. Let's wait and see what the track does here as we go to an HPDE session. That shower is kind of lingering just to our south and west on the leeward side of the mountains, to get some of my maritime terms out there. Let's wait and see what this holds for us over the next hour or so before we come back and qualify the other half of our 40-car field this weekend. GP1, GP2, general production qualifying coming up at 2:30 Mountain Time here on DriversEye Live. Be back then. Welcome back to the Burt Brothers Motorpark, Tooele, Utah, Grantsville, Utah, technically, in Tooele County, just west of Salt Lake City, the next valley over, as it were. Sitting here at 5,000 feet of elevation, ready to go for part 2 of qualifying. May have led you astray there slightly earlier on with qualifying at 2:30. It was, in fact, 2:20. Apologize for that. These are half-hour sessions, so it does kind of disrupt our normal daily rhythm, let's say, of the 35-minute sessions in a 40-minute block. It's a 30-minute session, and it doesn't take us quite to 3 p.m. local time with the same rinse and repeat type of weekend schedule. Timer has already started, as you see in the upper left-hand corner. Minute and a half gone, which means our cars are on the their out laps, getting set for 30 minutes to set the grid for tomorrow's first 8 hours of the Crossroads Endurance Challenge. These are general production cars, GP1 and GP2. Power to weight ratio formula with performance modifiers for, well, just about everything. Designed to equalize cars' performance across different types of cars, body styles, different aerodynamic choices, power plant choices, you name it. And very healthy grid this week. I believe it's 14 GP1 cars. The balance of the field, 6 cars, I think, 5-6 cars in GP2. Really looking forward to it. GP1 is always a banger, and anticipating much, much more of the same as the cars. Round turn number 15, release onto the front straightaway. First car across the line will be the number 256 TC design. Get the Palomar 38 in there, a little closer to home. Actually, as close to home as Palomar has ever been out here in Utah, being San Diego area based. And then the HQ Autosport number 189 gotten on board for that car. Jordan's got that spooled up from our Discord chat earlier. Take a lap or so around the Burt Brothers Motorpark during this session. BSR Racing is here, the only non-BMW in the GP1 field this weekend. Number 981 Porsche Boxster. I think that car will do well here this weekend. Having weight over the front tires, a little bit better balanced car through these longer corners, come back into the throttle a little bit sooner, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit kinder on the tires as we jump on board that number 189 briefly before it hits that cell dead zone over by turn 3 and 4 we've been dealing with this weekend. To the left-hander at turn number 5. Producer Jordan said he's pretty sure the whole track is a cellular dead zone, which is probably not unfair. Tough sledding this weekend here. Tough tobogganing, I guess, given we're not so very far from Park City. The Olympic City. For those of you who are bobsledding fans. Winter Olympics returning to Park City in 2030. Anyway, enough of that. It's 80 degrees out, and we've got cars on track for qualifying. These 3 lead cars working their way into the final sector of the 3-mile outer loop layout here at the Burt Brothers Motorpark. The 256 making really good time here on lap number 1. Intrigued to find out whether that's the Palomar number 38 and HQ Autosports bringing their tires in, or if the 256 really has that kind of pace. Take a peek here through the final sequence of corners, 14 and 15. Right in the middle of the road, and then arcing back to the bottom to try and get back to the throttle just that much sooner. 38 way out wide on the way into 15, and theoretically you can get back to the throttle, but the banking isn't really helping you get back to the bottom lane there through turn 15. So interesting sequence and selection of lines there on the way into that couple of corners there. TC Design does go to the provisional pole, and my eyes did not deceive me, 2.5 seconds quicker on that lap. TC Design over the Palomar number 38. El Diablo Motorsports in the bright green number 48. Chartreuse almost number 48 goes P2 in class, 1.7 seconds behind. That's not the right number at all. 1.5 seconds back from the TC Design number 256. So your top 5 right now as cars finish their first flying. Well, we're going to wait for BSR to come through. That was a setup lap. That one doesn't count. It is TC Design from El Diablo Motorsports on the first 2 spots, provisional front row. Palomar number 38, then HQ Autosport number 189, then Ginger Racing in the number 46, rounding out the provisional top 5. Blaze Racing, home race for the number 118 squad. They're E36. P6 at the moment, 216.180. Before you get back to the Bruce Innovations, number 555, and the only open throttle car here this weekend, the number 64 V8-powered BMW. Just called that car in an endurance race last weekend. It was in Daytona Beach on Sunday morning, I can confirm, because Mike was too lazy to drive it to Jacksonville after the race was over. Left it parked right outside the speedway there, came back for it, and off we went. 40-hour tow from Daytona Beach up to out to Tooele here. It's a 4-hour flight, by the way, Mike. Recommend that next time. GP2 Garage 66, that is your championship leader in GP2. Number 214. 2 minutes 14. There's too many 214s. 2 minutes 14.0 for that car, then 2.7 seconds back to the North Loop Motorsport number 21. Awesome to see North Loop here. Minnesota-based squad, again, kind of as close as they're going to get to a home race this part of the country anyway, other than Road America, of course. Still quite far to go west. Yeah, great to see them here. Boulder, number 76, 219.198, and then second Palomar car, number 83, down there in P4. TC Design does not improve. El Diablo does, however, and it's now just a quarter of a second to choose between the top two cars in GP1. And they have separated themselves firmly from the rest of the GP1 field, I would say. TC Design 210.943, El Diablo 211.216, and then 2 full seconds back to the Ginger Racing number 46 and Palomar 38 in P4. BSR Racing comes through and puts a representative time on the board in that Boxster, that black Porsche Boxster. 214.489 is about a quarter second off of the HQ Autos number 189. They work past the Utah Fire Museum. Jordan and I were chatting about that a little bit earlier. There is that Chartreuse El Diablo number 48. Been a long time since DriversEye Live has had a chance to chat about El Diablo Motorsports. Would have been the 25 Hours of Thunderhill in like 2016 in an all-blue E0 BMW. This car looks very similar, other than the fact that it's a completely different color, like violently different color. They always featured on the television program that was produced every year about the NASA 25 Hour. And cool to see them with the World Racing League back on some DriversEye Live productions, and obviously immediately competitive. Plenty of experience here at the Burt Brothers Motorpark. And yeah, really hounding that 256 for pace. Off-leash Motorsports in the 808, that is the BMW M240IR, goes to P3 and is able to displace the Ginger Racing 46, who's jumped up into P4 now. So drop Palomar 38 to 5th and HQ Autosport to 6th. El Diablo comes through and improves, goes to provisional pole in GP1, just drops the time by about 0.03 of a second down to a 210.908. Ginger Racing comes through and improves again to a 13.332. Just tremendous stuff at the top of GP1. 3/400ths of a second between your top two cars. BSR improves again, 213.944, but stays P6. Number 24, Bruce Innovations through and sets an initial offering. It's a 243.0. But that car is up to pace down the front straightaway. So my guess is that's either a bring in the tires lap. This is the blue car just coming into your shot down this extremely long front straightaway. Jumps on the brakes into turn number 1 with the left-hander. Decent camber to that corner, but he's out wide of the apex. Kind of got down to the initial turn-in point there at the beginning of the corner, but it's such a long corner, it actually pushed him well out wide, headed towards turns 2 and 3. A quick chat with Brad McCall in the gap in between sessions of round 3 racing. Of course, haven't seen Brad in 2 months, if you can believe it. 2 months. we've been away from the WRL back here. Of course, we didn't live stream the 13-hour back at High Plains Raceway for a variety of reasons, but had the chance to chat with Brad and just chatted about a couple of things there. The surface, as we kind of anticipated, is actually quite abrasive to the point that it's likely to really shake up the way that tires get handled, not just in GTO and the production classes, which do run a spec Continental or a single supplier Continental, but also up in GTU as well, which would be really interesting because that's usually a pretty cut and dried approach to things. El Diablo improves again, 210.703. And is able to expand that gap back to TC design, now out over 0.2 of a second. Ginger Racing comes through on what appears to be a cool-down lap and allows the Palomar number 83 to come through. That car improves its position, but not its time down in GP2. Change for second place is Boulder in the number 76. Jumps up into P2 and displaces the North Loop Motorsport number 21, E46. 2:16.157 for that Boulder, number 76 entry. North Loop, the orange and white car, winds off the final corner. You can even see it from this distance. Orange with white trim way, way out there. And that car does not improve this time, actually about a second off of its pace. Will be interesting to see how this track surface impacts whether or not the Continentals are able to go the full race distance. It's not so much whether or not the tires are up to task of handling the lateral loads here at a place like the Burt Brothers Motorpark, but whether it can handle the grit of the surface over an 8-hour endurance race. I'm trying to think if we've got anywhere that's quite this abrasive on the schedule, and nothing is really coming to mind. Even Sebring, the permanent parts of Sebring, and even the older parts of Sebring, the concrete, it's not abrasive so much, it's just rough. The joints in between the concrete blocks are extremely uneven. You get a bunch of heaves in them. This is just a very high grit type of surface, given its age. And just about anywhere else that we would have talked about, like a Road America or a Mid-Ohio, has had a fresh repave. So, same goes with Watkins Glen, just actually 10 years ago now. But it's be a different kind of race altogether here, between the altitude, between the track surface, the high number of mid-speed corners we've got here, mostly third or fourth gear corners in these cars, and tendency or possibility of really disrupting things. Blaze Racing puts their local knowledge here to good use up in GP1 and goes P3. The number 118, 212.374. So let's call that margin just over a second and a half up to that El Diablo number 48, who does pit. Ginger Racing stays P5, Palomar number 38, P6, BSR Racing Boxster in P7. HQ Autosport, the number 189 back to P8, and then Zalus, number 88, also local, I believe, here to Grantsville, Utah. And then Bruce Innovations, the number 555 back in P10. Championship fights abound in this set of categories as well. The Garage 66 is reasonably well clear down in GP2, but if you take a peek at GP1 in particular, the battle for second place behind the Ginger Racing number 46 in GP1 is immense. It's 5 cars, I think, within 10 points. And right now it's BSR Racing in the 981 over Palomar Racing in the 38 by just 1 point, and then another 2 points back to the 4th place car. Just really, really good stuff in GP1. We've always described that class as something like a knife fight in a phone booth, and it's been really cool to see that pan out over the course of a whole championship season here for the Midwest Championship, which ends its season here at Burt Brothers Motorpark. And with 28 points, doing the math, 28 total points on offer for a win this weekend, and a full class of GP1 cars all the way down to position number 13. Let's wait and see how these championship battles shake out, especially once we clear tomorrow and we're kind of halfway there. This championship becomes a little bit clearer, and we can kind of set our championship scenarios up for Sunday's 7-hour finale. Do love championship season here in the World Racing League. It involves a lot of mental math and doing things on the fly. But by the time we get to the last race of the weekend, we usually have a pretty good handle on what exactly everything is going to look like. And despite not being able to get points as they run, graphics up on the screen, we do a pretty good job of trying to stay in touch with how all those championship battles shake out. Of course, this being the Midwest Championship finale, we've got 2 races left in the Eastern Championship. 3 weeks hence, we head to Watkins Glen International. Leaf peeping season up in the Finger Lakes. Last year, setting cameras up was about 37 degrees, but a very different 37 to what you get when it's cold in mid-Ohio. It's crisp, it's fall, it feels right for the Northeast, and then it warms up very, very nicely throughout the day. Certainly did last year up into the mid-high 60s, low 70s. It's a beautiful time to be in upstate New York, as are most, frankly. And 15 hours of racing to come there before we head down to Sebring in early November to crown the Eastern Region Championship, crown the Eastern Region Champions, excuse me, and then the National Championship to come at COTA at the beginning of December, like we always do. Begging for a drier weekend this year than we had at COTA last year. It was pretty dramatic stuff there with round 3 racing and NFC Motorsports coming down to a championship scrap right at the very end. But yeah, this is a really strong finish to the 2025 World Racing League schedule. Out here to Utah for the first time, west of the Rockies, west of the Continental Divide, and then Watkins Glen, Sebring, and COTA. I mean, it almost does not get better than that. Past halfway in GP1 and 2 qualifying. GP3 also listed up there in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. No GP3 entries. Most of those cars have moved up either to GP1 or GP2. There's a lot of AOA racing, to be quite frank. These cars have found other homes or stayed within AOA, but they've moved up to higher classes where there's more depth, more competition, which is what this is really all about. Ginger Racing comes through again. Looks like they're going to make another go at this, just like we saw in GTO and GTU qualifying. Get that first set of runs out of the way, do 3 or 4, well, probably 2 or 3 representative laps, some push laps, get what you think is going to be your best time in, then come back in. And whether we've got teams that are bolting on a new set of tires and trying to scrub them in, or it's just going to be a flat-out bid for pole here with a set of tires. Brad McCall did say to me they think, and Stratus thinks, that fresh tires here could be worth 2 to 3 seconds over a single lap. Now, not likely to get that sort of adjustment, let's say, over any sort of a longer run. But certainly when it comes to these 2 qualifying sessions here, if you decide to bolt on a set of stickers and really go for it, if you really think it's worth 2 to 3 seconds, that would certainly explain why we've got El Diablo and TC Design. Never mind their familiarity with the Burt Brothers Motorpark, but they're now over a second clear of Blaze Racing, who improves again down to a 2:10.0, and I have a suspicion that is actually mostly just being super, super familiar with the 3-mile layout here at Burt Brothers Motorpark. It's a really good time for the number 118 Off-Leash Motorsports in the 808. It's P4 in that M240 213.163. It's over a second back from that Blaze Racing number 118. El Diablo comes through. Try this again, but not at full power down the front straightaway from the looks of things. Well, maybe they are. Same with Garage 66. Tell you what, I think it would take a fresh set of tires for the number 256 of C Design in order to make this work. Look down to my left. Haven't mentioned the Hyperion Auto Collect car just yet. That's the number 722 BMW. Looks surprisingly similar to the Blaze Racing car, it has to be said. Black mostly matte black or dark blue with yellow trim. It's a tough one. They sit P8 at the moment in GP1. Very calm day here in Grantsville. We said earlier, 40 cars on the entry list for this weekend, but spread out over 3 miles. And has to be said, it didn't really seem like we were in a very chaotic place with traffic earlier on during the practice and testing sessions. And lead to some pretty interesting racing tomorrow. These long corners aren't necessarily obvious passing opportunities. You've really got to kind of present yourself and make it obvious in some relatively short braking zones, which can lead to a lot of variability in lap times, even with 40 cars out over 3 miles. Not super high traffic density, but some awkward passing opportunities here can really kind of shake things up over the course of 7 or 8 hours. As the open throttle number 64 bails for the pit lane. Car P13 last in the GP1 field at the moment, and not really a representative time there, 2:20.837. El Diablo comes through again at 15.6. Again, like we said during the GTO and GTU sessions, sometimes the second half of these qualifying sessions put on or tend to pan out like a practice session. Right, an extended practice session where, okay, you've put the fresh tires on, you've gone and done the thing. Starting position isn't a super huge factor in terms of determining your finishing position, certainly. And once you've set that time, maybe best to come in, put on an older set of tires, and use that remaining 15 minutes or so to get another driver comfortable in the car. Again, as hot as it's going to be probably all weekend right now, with temperatures hovering just around 80 degrees. Never did get that little rain shower that popped up on the leeward side of the mountains here to our west either. That one dissipated before it worked its way to the north and east. So we've stayed dry here. It's good. Should be dry all weekend. I seem to remember, and maybe Jordan will remember this one as well, I think it was either the inaugural running or the second running of the Grand Am Sun Chaser season finale. They had like a massive thunderstorm and hailstorm that ended up actually knocking power out at the track, including to the broadcast. And they ended up coming back to the broadcast with just a static image of the event logo that they had prepared, or the event intro screen that they had prepared, and commentary going out over what sounded like over a phone. I mean, it was pretty wild scenes. Hailstorm. Not the only thing we haven't seen in the World Racing League over the last 4 years of running. This is our 5th season, actually. Here on DriversEye Live. Not trying to manifest that clear. We've seen a lot of things. Hail has not been one of them. No real improvements from the looks of things. I say that. Zalus and HQ Autosport, 88 and 189, have jumped the Hyperion number 722 to sit P8 and P9 now. Lap times, and BSR in the number 981. That's the black Porsche Boxster. 2:13.5 for the Boxster, 2:13.6 for the number 88, 2:13.7 for the HQ Autosport BMW. Actually, we've got a bunch of really close cars from 4th on back. If you take El Diablo and TC Design at the front, who are very close, but separated from the Blaze Racing number 118, then you go back to Off Leash Motorsports in the 808. Off Leash is a 2:13.1, Ginger Racing 2:13.3, Palomar 38 2:13.4, BSR 2:13.5, Zalus 13.6, HQ Autosport 13.7, Hyperion 13.9. And then you get Bruce Innovations in the 555 down at a 15.2. There's, I mean, that mid-pack in GP1, just like it always is. That's, what, 6 cars within 0.8 of a second, 0.9 of a second? And I think we may just be winding this one down. That blue car, by the way, is the number 88 of Zalus Motorsports. I don't think I've seen that. That actually may be a new car for Zalus. I think that's a new car. Is that an F30? Taking a page out of the open throttle book, but painted in a really nice shade of, it's not quite baby blue, it's a little richer than that. Really nice looking car. Sky blue, says George. Yeah, it's all right. I think sky blue. Good looking car. And obviously quick. P4 at the moment. Behind, I think it's a pair of E46s and an E36. BSR, not anymore. BSR 13 flat to jump up to the outside of the second row provisionally. And just 0.03 of a second clear of that Zalus Motorsports number 80, Zalus Motorsport, excuse me, number 88. Now, do any of these cars have anything left in them in the dying moments of qualifying here to try and either vault themselves up into P3 or swap amongst themselves? That is also just under 0.1 of a second clear of the off-leash Motorsports number 808, who, despite 2 minutes ago having been on the outside of row number 2, now slides back to the outside of row number 3. Oh, trouble, that is the El Diablo number 48. Backwards at turn number 1. Now that's really interesting, because that car was not pushing particularly hard. It was in the 2:15, 16, 17s. Last lap was an 18.9. And just seemed like it was a, hey, just get comfortable in race pace kind of situation. And that car ends up backwards at turn number 1. That is shocking. The right-hand sweeper here at turn number 7. Witchcraft, allegedly. Into that corner. 5th gear in an NPO1 in that car, by the way, flat out. And then a really short braking zone uphill into the attitudes, where I assume we are fighting some camera gremlins, Jordan. Yeah. Yeah. You know, one thing I will say about my experience in the state of Utah thus far, certainly in the Salt Lake City metro area here, the cell coverage has been spotty in the places I've been. Good here in the pit lane and on the front straightaway. Doesn't seem to be any really obvious line of sight issues that would present themselves back at the back end of the circuit, and yet BSR have anything in this next lap. Across the line, 2:14.5. So no. They may have been caught up in that little spin down there at turn number 1, though, having to deal with the yellow flag. HQ Autosport, the number 189, bails for the pit lane. That'll be a session for them. GP2, by the way, no real changes there. Garage 66 in the Scion FRS, I think. 2:16.348 is your provisional pole time there. I'm sorry, 2:13.791. I'm still learning to read, apparently. GP2, 2:16.157 will be the outside of the front row. Boulder, number 76 there. And then North Loop, number 21 at a 16.6, so half a second further back. And then Palomar, 83, tail end of the GP2 field. That one hasn't really seen the really violent swings that we've seen up in the mid in GP1 in particular. GP1 has really delivered in these standalone qualifying sessions this season. Back at Barber, I think it was first one of the year. Ended up with a red flag partway session, and then just a banger of a lap from the 9.4 Motorsports Corvette. Shook up the top of the field there, right at the death of the session. Really cool session. Really cool stuff. And it's a checkered flag waves. I think just about everybody's going to take the checkered in the pit lane here and call it a day. It certainly looks to be El Diablo Motorsports, number 48. Well, I see that Zalus is pushing in the number 88. That car really sideways on the way through turn 15. Is there an improvement? No, 2:13.298. And wonder if that just all slid away there, trying to carry too much speed through the final corner onto the front straightaway. Is there an improvement in this from the open throttle, number 64? Yes. And it nets them a position. 2:15.719 puts them P12 instead of P13. Does the 2:56 improve TC Design? No. And it actually looks like that one was going to be a real effort to try and snatch pole away at the finish. 2:11.422 was the last lap. So comes up a couple of tenths short, but did really save it for that last lap there. Trying to steal pole away from the El Diablo Motorsports number 48. So that is your front row in GP1. Second row will be Blaze Racing, the number 118, and BSR number 981, unless the off-leash 808 has something to say about it. Crosses the line. No, that's 216. So no improvement there. So that does leave Blaze and BSR on the second row. Zalus Motorsport number 88 and Off-Leash Motorsports 808. 88, 808, that's not a problem at all. We'll start alongside each other on the third row. Ginger Racing, the number 46, Palomar, number 38, on row number 4 in GP1, and then HQ Autosport in the 189, and the Hyperion Auto Collective, number 722 BMW, rounds out the top 10 there in GP1. Open throttle, I'm sorry, Bruce Innovations, number 555 in P11, Open Throttle 64, and Bruce Innovations 24. Just 8 laps on the board for that car will round out the field in that BMW 235i. We've already gone through the GP2 field, so no changes post-checkered flag there. As you see on the screen, racing begins tomorrow morning. Doesn't it just? We will be live here on DriversEye Live from trackside at the Burt Brothers Motorpark, Grantsville, Utah, at, well, just before 9 a.m. Mountain Time, just before 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Join us about 10 minutes early for a little bit of pre-race action, the pace laps, 2 pace laps here, and then we drop the green flag as close to 9 o'clock as we can for 8 hours of racing to begin our championship weekend for the Midwest Championship, Regional Championship in the World Racing League from the Burt Brothers Motorpark. It'll be myself, Brendan Kazmarek, alongside Ryan West and JT Tammy. Jordan Worth, just like he was this afternoon, on production duties as well. Tell your friends, tell your family, join us tomorrow morning for a little bit of brunch racing if you're out there on the East Coast, and a nice later start to the morning if you happen to be here in the Mountain Time Zone or out on the West Coast. For Jordan Worth on production, my name is Brendan Kazmarek. We'll see you all at 8:50 Mountain Time tomorrow morning as we kick off Midwest Championship weekend at the Crossroads Endurance Challenge. Burt Brothers Motorsports Park as WRL's initial trip west of the Rockies rolls on. And until tomorrow morning, take care.